Happens to be a 1998 Elite 4-horse trailer. I bought this trailer brand new. It's a 98 model, and it's still just as good as it was by taking care of it. Maintenance on it, tires, brakes, bearings, that's really important. to keep good care of it, make sure it doesn't leak, and just maintenance on it. Washing it, acid washing it once a year, just keeps the trailer in good shape and really clean. This happens to be a 2019 F550 Ford with a flatbed. Most people don't need this much truck to pull that trailer. I just have a lot of the bigger trailers that I pull, so I have this size truck. One of the important thing on trailers is the lights, the electrical, and the bearings and the brakes, and tires. The biggest problem with tires is people don't check the air in the tires. A tire will blow could be brand new, it's going to blow out going down the road if it doesn't have the right amount of air pressure in it. A lot of people, you can go to tire stores, they'll want to say, well, I put a 10-ply tire on here and I'm only going to put 60 pounds and it's all you need to hold that weight. That may be true, but that's going to make that tire get hot. If that tire wall says 80 pounds of pressure on a 10-ply, put 80 pounds of pressure on it. If you decide to buy a 14-ply tire, it's going to say 110 pounds of air pressure on it. Run it at 110 pounds. You'll never wear the tire enough on a trailer to wear the center out. They'll say it's going to wear the center out. You'll never run enough miles on a trailer to do that. So always make sure you have the proper, and always remember to check your spare tire. Because now when you have that blowout of that flat or run over something on the road, now your spare's never been checked, so it's got no air in it. So always make sure that you check the spare tire as well as all the tires with the air pressure. That is the critical part of keeping your tires. And you're running down the road 3 o'clock in the morning in the rain, that's when you have the flat tire. Not in a pretty sunny day in the afternoon in the middle of the road. That'll never happen. It's only on the rainy nights that you're running. As far as the brakes and bearings, you need to make sure that it's been, if you buy a used trailer, first thing you do is get the brakes and bearings checked. Make sure it's all up to speed and right. And if you're not running all kinds of crazy miles all over the country with it, you don't need to do it again for a couple of years. You don't need to check your bearings every year, but you do need to use the trailer. Sitting is the worst thing for them. If you use the trailer, you'll keep it, the moisture won't build up and put rust spots on the bearings. But you can just keep going with it for several years before you have to do it again. Also keep, if you ever walk up to the trailer, you can shake the wheel. If the bearing is loose, you're going to be able to rock that wheel and move it. So if you're just looking at a trailer used, walk around and shake the wheel. And even with it sitting on the ground, it's going to move if the bearing's too loose. Then you need to get that tended to. But if you get it done correctly, it's packed right, new brakes and bearings on it, good drums on it, that'll last you several years. Unless you're a rodeo person that's running all over the creation from coast to coast, putting 100,000 miles a year on it. Other than that, you won't have any trouble at all with it. But get that done first on a used trailer so you know where you're at. Everybody's going to say, oh yeah, I just did it, it's good. Be sure, know for a fact. Because at 3 o'clock in the morning in that rain, you're going to wish you had it checked. And that'll be the cheapest thing. Then you decide how many horses you're going to haul. So that's going to dictate what size trailer you want. This happens to be a 4-horse trailer with a little dressing room in the front. So if you want to haul, less than 4 horses, 3 horses, 2 horses, it's still fine. But if you always kind of get one more stall than you need on a horse trailer, because you're always going to use the other stall to put feed and hay and everything else in. Because there's nothing worse than trying to get hay up on that hay rack. You can do it, but it's a pain. You better have a tractor to pick it up there, or somebody that can throw it that high. So I always like to have one extra stall. So you take the first stall, especially if it has a stud divider in it, or put a piece of plywood in it, put all your hay and stuff in the first stall, and then you don't have to worry about your top rack and you can get to it. Then at that point, once you got decided how many horses you're gonna haul and what size trailer you want, then you gotta decide what size truck you need. Now you go to the salesman and he'll say, oh, this is good, this SUV will pull it. It may pull it, but it's not gonna stop it. You start looking, this trailer here is a gross weight of 14,000 pounds. So by the time you take the trailer and you put 4 1,000-pound horses in there, all your gear, tack, and everything else, you got another 1,000 pounds of stuff. Now you're talking, you loaded 5,000 pounds in that trailer, and then you're gonna go down the road 70 miles an hour, and somebody cuts in front of you, you need to have the brakes in the trailer and a truck that's capable of stopping it. You know, I'd rather have a truck that's got an engine miss in it than the one that has bad brakes. So you have to be able to stop it. That's the critical part with the towing vehicle, is having enough power to stop what you're gonna pull. You know, as a rule, this size trailer here, you could pull with a 2,500 or a 250 or something like that. A good solid 3/4 ton truck will handle this trailer okay. You know, so from there on up, a dually or whatever you wanna do is all fine. But don't expect to pull a trailer this size with a 150. It's gonna pull it, you're gonna be able to go, and it's fine. You can put airbags on the truck, the whole bit, but you're not gonna stop it on the other side of Mount Eagle when you go over Mount Eagle. You know, and that's where people get in trouble. Or you see them go waving down the road because they're scared, they can't stop, and then they start watching the back corner of the trailer, and then they're steering worse. Now you got a train wreck real fast. So always make sure you have more truck than you need. Whether you're going down the road with a 150 or a 250 or a 550, it's not much difference in fuel if they're diesel trucks. Not much difference in fuel at all. So you might as well have more truck instead of less truck. And then later on, after you get addicted to the horses and you get going big time, next thing you know, you're gonna buy a bigger trailer. Then you want another horse. Then your friend gives you a horse. So now you end up with a 6-horse trailer. You gotta buy a bigger truck, so go with the bigger truck first. Because you're always gonna add horses, I don't care what happens.
Larry, is there any type of rules of thumb that apply today when it comes to picking, X number of horse, whether it's a 2-horse trailer, 3-horse trailer, and whether it's a 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton?
Yeah, if you have a bumper pull 2-horse straight load or a slant load 2-horse trailer, you can get by with that on a 150 truck. But I wouldn't be running 70 miles an hour down the road with it, because again, you don't have the stopping. And the horses in the 1-horse, 2-horse trailer side by side, they'll rock more from side to side on you. Where in the slant loads, the horses don't rock as much. It's a lot more stable. And even if you get a 2-horse, whether it's a slant load or bumper pull gooseneck on a 150 is fine. The goosenecks will tow nicer than the bumper pulls. And that's because of where it's located in the center of the trailer, and the wheels are all the way back, just like a tractor trailer. Why do they tow so good? The wheels are all the way back there, and the hitch is over the center of the axle. Where your bumper pull, it's hanging on the back bumper of the truck. So a lot of people you see with 2-horse trailers and SUVs, that's okay if you're going just locally around town. Rolling down the interstate can be a little scary when you get a tractor trailer blows past you at 75, 80 miles an hour, and it'll blow you all over the road. Now you got a problem. So I always like to see people go with more truck than they need, and whatever size trailer is whatever's gonna suit your needs, But be careful going with the bumper pull and the SUVs. That's okay for running to the vet, running locally with it, small shows. When you start really hauling down the interstate, you need to be careful. Especially out here where we were in 70 miles an hour all day long and 75, it makes a big difference.